Hello there, welcome to NTV English News Bulletin. I am Bhavana Casey. In the beginning, we have the headlines. Visiting Chinese leader Li takes stock of post-quake reconstruction in Bhaktapur Dara Square to pay courtesy call on President Bhandari in the afternoon. Election Commission to hold discussion with parties over latter's reservation on election code of conduct. 12 parties representing House of Representatives and Provincial Assembly invited for talks. Chinese President Xi to meet Putin on the sidelines of a regional summit in Uzbekistan. Kremlin says to leaders to discuss Ukraine war. And unbeaten Nepal facing defending champion India today in the final of SAF Under-17 Championship underway in Sri Lanka. Match to kick off at 8:15 p.m. Welcome back. You are with NTV English News Bulletin. Now we have the news in details. Visiting chairman of China's Standing Committee of National People's Congress, Li Chanzu, is paying a courtesy call on President Vidyadevi Bhandari. Li and the Chinese delegation is slated to reach the Sital Niwas at 4 p.m. to pay courtesy call on President Bhandari. Earlier in the morning, the Chinese delegation, led by Li, reached Bhaktapur Dara Square for a sightseeing and to take stock of the post-quake earthquake rebuilding projects. During the second day of the visit on Tuesday, Chairman Li remained busy in the high-level meetings. He already has held separate meetings with Prime Minister Sher Bahadur Deva and Minister for Foreign Affairs Dr. Narayan Kharka, as well as National Assembly Chairperson Ganesh Timsena on Tuesday. He arrived Kathmandu on Monday in course of a 4-day official visit at the invitation of Speaker Agni Prasad Sapkota. Li's delegation comprises of 67 persons, including 6 high-ranking officials, 6 security personnel, journalists and other staff. Li will return tomorrow morning. After some political parties expressed discontent over the code of conduct published by the Election Commission, the electoral body is holding consultation with the parties today. The Commission has invited 12 political parties representing House of Representatives of the provincial parliaments. Spokesperson of the Election Commission, Saligram Sarma Podil, said the Commission has only summoned 12 political parties for the discussion. The Code of Conduct bars sitting ministers, including the Prime Ministers and the public portfolio holders, to hold public election campaigns. Both the ruling and opposition parties have expressed their objection on the Code of Conduct that bars public campaigning for the upcoming elections. The Code of Conduct published in Nepal Gazette bars any ministers and public representatives to participate in election campaigns. The Parliamentary Hearing Committee is carrying forward the process of hearing on the proposed names for the appointment of the Apex Court justices. The committee took the decision following prolonged discussion and debate among its members on how to advance hearing when the tenure of the committee is about to expire. A meeting of the Judicial Council on August 27 had nominated Chief Judge of High Court Tulsipur, Neeta Gautam Dikshit, Judge of Patan High Court Binod Sharma, and Senior Advocate Dr. Dinanath Paraju for Apex Court justices and sent their names to advance parliamentary hearing. The committee has decided to publish a 10-day public notice for registering any complaint and grievances on the names of the proposed Apex Court justices. Chairperson Lakshman Lal Kharna informed that a decision is made to publish a notice to allow public to lodge their complaints on the proposed names within 10 days. More updates lined up on the other side, but before that, time to go for a short break. Welcome back. Now to more updates. The National Children's Day is being celebrated today. Nepal has been marking the National Children's Day on Bhadra the 29th, commemorating the endorsement of Child Rights Convention by Nepal in 14 September 1990. The slogan for this year's Children's Day is Basis for Children-Friendly Society, Responsible Family, Responsible Government. Meanwhile, Prime Minister Sher Bahadur Deva had said that families in the state had an important role in development and protection of the children. In a congratulatory message to all children on the occasion of the National Children's Day, the Prime Minister assured that the state had guaranteed rights that would ensure health, upbringing, due care, sports, recreation and development of overall personality for children. Dubbing children as the anchor of the nation and architect and policy maker, the head of the government said that the government is effortful to ensure that children could freely exercise any rights guaranteed by the Constitution. Now to the international updates. China's leader Xi Jinping and Russia's Vladimir Putin will discuss the war in Ukraine and other international and regional topics at their meeting later this week, the Kremlin says. The two will meet on the sidelines of a major regional summit in Uzbekistan that will show an alternative to the Western world, the Kremlin said. It comes at a crucial moment for both countries. Xi is seeking a historic third term, while Putin's relations with the West are at rock bottom over Russia's invasion of Ukraine. It is Xi's first trip overseas since the beginning of the pandemic. Xi is beginning his three-day trip in Kazakhstan on Wednesday. He will then meet Putin on Thursday at the Shanghai Cooperation Organization Summit in Samarkand, which will run from 15 to 16 September. Venezuelan President Nicolas Maduro has announced he agreed to mediate between the Colombian government and the National Liberation Army rebel group to pacify the last standing guerrilla in its neighboring country. Maduro said he had received a letter from the Colombian President Gustavo Petro in which he made the request to Maduro's administration. Maduro said he would follow the steps of Hugo Chavez in aiding the peace process in Colombia. More updates lined up on the other side, but before that, time to go for a short break. Welcome back. You are with NTV English News Bulletin. Now to more updates from the international front. A typhoon has headed towards the Chinese coast and forecast to make a landfall near the port city of Ningbo later in the day. Typhoon Muifa had maximum sustained winds of 145 kilometers per hour as it moved northeast, the Hong Kong Observatory said. The storm's track would take it just east of the city of Shanghai and then inland through Jiangsu and Shandong provinces on China's northeast coast. Nearly 720,000 people in the coastal Zhejiang province have been evacuated. The Queen's coffin has arrived at Buckingham Palace and was greeted by members of the royal family. It will move on Wednesday to Westminster Hall, where the Queen will lie in state for 4 days. The Queen's daughter, the Princess Royal, has issued a statement saying she was fortunate to share the last 24 hours of her dearest mother's life. Hundreds of thousands of people are expected to file past the coffin to pay their respects, with a huge policing operation expected. Queen Elizabeth II's coffin reaches the Buckingham Palace. 2 more updates, but before that, let's have what we have coming up next. Austrians are facing a tough choice between diverting fresh water from the Danube River to the vanishing lake Neusiedl or seeing the lakes in the region run dry and the local ecology destroyed. For thousands and thousands of migratory birds, the national park in Austria is an essential stop off between their winter habitats and breeding grounds in the northern hemisphere. It was listed as a UNESCO World Heritage Site in 2001. The Scholz Lake, only an hour's drive from the country's capital city, Vienna, last dried up in the 1860s. It was naturally replenished by rainwater. But now, following the hottest summer for many decades, the lake and its marshes could soon dry. Environmentalists are considering different methods to solve the problem. Now to sports. Nepal is facing defending champion India in the final of the SAF Under-17 Championship being held today in Sri Lanka. The match will begin at 8:15 p.m. NST at the racecourse ground in Colombo. The Nepali side that has remained unbeaten in the tournament secured its berth in the final, thrashing host Sri Lanka 6-0. Nepal earlier defeated Bhutan and India in the previous matches. With this, we come to the end of this English News Bulletin. But before we say goodbye, let's have a quick reminder of the major stories. Visiting Chinese leader Li takes stock of post-quake reconstruction in Bhaktapur Darbar Square to pay courtesy call on President Bhandari in the afternoon. Election Commission to hold discussion with parties over latters reservations on election code of conduct. 12 parties representing House of Representatives and Provincial Assembly invited for talks. Chinese President Xi to meet Putin on the sidelines of a regional summit in Uzbekistan. Kremlin says two leaders to discuss Ukraine war. And unbeaten Nepal facing defending champion India today in the final of SAF Under-17 Championship underway in Sri Lanka. Match to kick off at 8:15 p.m. That's all we have in this edition of English News Bulletin. We shall see you again with next round of English Bulletin at 6 in the evening. Till then, have a great time ahead and do stay tuned with us. Namaste.